know if you know this, I was still burping up like the taste of
Beets.
the pickled beets like the next morning. Like the peanut butter, the bag of peanut butter cups you gave me helped, but yeah, I left those there for a reason.
Yeah, I know you did.
Those are
But
disgusting.
I saw him and I told Jordan about it, and he's like, "Please tell me there's a video on it." And I pulled up your stream recordings and I showed him. I had to find it. I finally found it. I started crying.
It's up on Twitter. I need to get it on the YouTube and probably How do you feel about TikTok? What are your thoughts on TikTok?
I guess it's technically necessary evil. I mean, I enjoyed Vines when they were out, and I get that it's just like the predecessor to it, but it's, I don't know. I feel like people go on there and there's some like really like honestly the things I go for, and I say it ironically, are the cringe-worthy TikToks, because it's like why.
See, I do like the cringe, just like you mentioned. I don't like the like fuck shit up at your school challenges that they're doing. Like, I guess that was back in August or September where high school kids were like fucking up like bathrooms at schools because it was a TikTok challenge. Like the shit you hear about on the news, which whenever you hear about stuff like that on the news, it's usually only one person or two people doing it. I always found it funny because the news, what was it? It's either middle school or high school. Like the news was talking about the condom challenge where kids were taking condoms, putting them up their nose,
and trying to get that the other nostril,
sucking it in through one nostril and pulling it out of the mouth.
Yeah,
I guarantee you there was like maybe one or two YouTube videos, but because the news reported on it, more kids were like, "People are doing that.
Do it.
We should do that." And that's what happened. The news loves doing that.
Let's make our own stories. Hey, kids, don't do this at home.
But yeah, those pickled beets, if I had to describe them in one word, tasted like you pulled it out of a fishbowl that's been in a fishbowl for years. It's been in a fishbowl for years, and you stuck it in your mouth and ate it.
So I thought about it. An abandoned fish shop that somehow the fish survived, but haven't been cleaned and fed, and they've been eating each other.
So we're talking pretty rough fish or pet shop.
Right. So the taste was like that. Like it's been there for years. They're still alive. You take like a sip of the water. And then as far as like consistency, it felt like an olive.
I still need to Google what exactly people use that for, because
The only thing I found was it replaces regular beets. That's it. And it's like, okay, well, who puts beets in anything anymore?
What are you eating beets for to begin with? Like what do beets for? I need to know.
I assume it's kind of like I guess like a cranberry type deal.
It's oof.
I don't know.
Just know that I will never eat another thing of beets again.
Don't worry, they're going in the trash. They're going into the trash can after this.
Oh no, Josh, you froze.
No, I'm unfrozen now.
Now you're unfrozen. Okay, I know what the issue is. There you are.
You keep changing.
There you are. You should be fine now. Yeah, you're good. You're good. You're
purposely moving
unfrozen.
just to make sure we're not frozen.
I had to get my sheet. So what was going on? So I kept looking away from you because I had everything. I had the screen away from the camera. I was like, I need to look over here for our visual watchers, for our viewers. Everybody, welcome. This is Smashing Game Time. Oh, Josh, how's your new year been so far?
Dude, this year sucks already. Can we go back to 2021? At least then it was okay.
2021 sucked too. So we are Smashing Game Time. This is episode, I believe it's 5. Today we're looking at 2002. If you haven't already, head on over to Apple, head on over to wherever you're listening to podcasts and leave us a review. That's how the podcast people know that you like us and will push us to other people. That is true. We're just about everywhere. We've got 7 different ones. We're on Stitcher, we're on Anchor, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Google. There's 2 more. We're also available on YouTube. We don't have our own YouTube channel yet. Gonna work towards getting that. But you can find us at Nick Fat Night. Josh, how pissed were you when I started this and didn't have your name on the podcast?
I was a little salty. I'm like, really? I get that it's your thing. You started it, but come on. It's a 50-50 thing right now.
I didn't know Anchor allowed 2 names, but now if you go search for it on any podcast thing, it's there. It's there, I swear.
I've seen it. I can confirm it's there, everyone. So we can't be too upset with him.
If you're joining
his legs,
if you're joining us from last week's podcast, Josh won the recap, or Josh won the speed cap competition. I think, what was the final score? 47-27 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So I definitely made mine way too easier for him for Metal Gear Solid 2.
And I thought I made mine way too easy for you.
So we're gonna make another set. We're gonna have another set of speed caps. The next one will be next week. The game will be decided upon after a quiz at the end. We're gonna have a quiz on Pokemon Generation 3 for Josh because he did so well with Generation 2.
I did not.
And if he gets more than 5, he can pick the game. Otherwise, I'm picking the game that I'm doing. And I'll be going first because I decided I'm going first. And this time, what we're competing for is the loser has to build a designated Lego set in the backseat of a moving car. I don't know how we're going to record that. We'll find a way.
We'll figure something out.
We'll figure something out. We are savvy. We are savvy as hell. I should have shaved. I'm looking at my neckline right now. So, again, if you haven't left a review, please stop by, give us your stars, give us your words, and we'll read them live right here in this spot. We would have more time. We have more time for reviews right now. That's why we're just shooting the shit. Josh, before we get started, you got anything else?
Give me reviews. I don't care how terrible they are. I know we suck. I want to know. I want to read. I'm illiterate. I have to learn.
Josh just wants to be told how naughty he is. So go ahead and leave a review.
Very bad boy.
Leave a review about how bad Josh is. What do you say we get into the games?
Let's do it.
Let's get into the games then. Right out of the gate, January 22nd, Medal of Honor Allied Assault. I got a clip for this. We got a clip for this one, Jimmy. Let's go over there. When you haven't done an episode for 2 weeks. Oh no, what happened? Oh, here we go. When you haven't done an episode for 2 weeks, it's a little rough. Here we go. You see the beauty of it, Josh?
Yes. It's been a hot minute, but
Ugh. Storming Normandy has never been so real. Look at it.
Was this as they were starting to slowly introduce aiming down sights in games in first-person shooters?
They had aiming down.
I knew they had some in some games, but it wasn't like a regular thing. Where nowadays, if you have first-person shooter and you can't aim down your sight, you're screwed. That's your whole game.
Yeah, sight aiming's been around for a while. I don't know who started it. I do know I did find a little fun fact on this one. It was the first, so you know how PC games have basically the DVD box now? Yeah. This was the first game to do it. So it was the first game to get away from the big boxes, from like the CD boxes. Like this was the first DVD PC game.
Oh, okay. I mean, if we're going to be honest though, at least nowadays, modern-wise, PC games is like gone away from it. The only games that even carry CD boxes anymore, DVD boxes, World of Warcraft, Diablo 3, and then all the cheap PC games.
Are you talking about the big ones, or just
even the smaller ones, big and small?
Well, everything these days now is a little placard, like a little oh, here's the code for the game.
Well, it's not even that anymore at this point. It's all digital. There's no point in having a physical copy because let's face it, computers nowadays don't even have a DVD drive unless you build it to that specific or buy it.
Right, and the collector aspect. So that's where NFTs come in, because the collector aspect, there's no box, there's no manual. So what are you collecting for your game?
I just do what I do: buy physical copies of console games that you absolutely enjoy,
Josh,
or they're going to be phenomenal.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
I know you know me. I've got my Return of Samus, which I got for $20. I was pretty happy about that, and then I've got Persona 5. Those are my two right now.
I'm still really upset that Metroid Fusion was so expensive.
Yeah, I'm more upset that Super Metroid's so expensive.
I had a feeling that one would be.
I knew for a fact that was going to be, but it's like at one point in my life we had all these games that are worth hundreds, if not thousands of dollars.
We were just kids.
We were just kids. We had no idea.
We had no idea.
My Nightshade would be worth something right now, Nick.
Josh, I can buy you a sealed copy of Nightshade. No strings attached, pretty cheap. So February 3rd, this is the North American release. So again, we're still in a time period where everything had different releases. This is Sonic Advanced.
Oh man.
Which if you look through the rose-colored glasses, everyone's pretty nostalgic for it. I think it just looks like another Sonic. Probably a slow, like, look at how slow he is. Ooh, he almost hit the spikes there. Is there anything more daunting than the Sonic underground or underwater like sound of like the boop 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 boop? Like that was the first source of anxiety as a kid I ever had.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Nick. This is the first Sonic on a Nintendo console.
You are 100% correct. That was the other big deal was Sega had I think the year before just announced like, "Hey, we're done. We're done with the
The
Dreamcast is
failed, and
we're sunsetting it." And then this was like a year later. They're like, "Fuck, we got to put Sonic out somewhere." And then they did.
This is like one of their last attempts, or one of the last attempts to try and like save the company, because at this point the company had been failing between the Dreamcast and
It, it was
game
in a
sales.
pretty bad spot. So they did what they usually Nintendo won't do, and they went to Nintendo and put it out on a Nintendo console. It's brave. But now look at Sega. Look at them.
I mean, heck, look at Sonic. Sonic's making a huge comeback right now. Not only his games, but even in video properties. His second movie's coming out.
When we all have grandchildren, I guarantee you Sonic's going to be a bigger movie star than he was ever in games.
Oh, I agree. I mean, honestly, the fact that you've got these huge names playing all these extra characters, including Dr. Robotnik, and they're all fantastic. The story so far has been good. Like it was one of those you first saw it when they had like their original development of Sonic, and you're like, oh god, this looks terrible.
Oh, the original 3D model is terrifying.
And then they fixed it and looks so much better.
I'm pretty excited about Idris Elba voicing Knuckles. I think that's a pretty good casting. I'm glad that he's getting better with getting roles because someone was fucking that man.
Easily.
Someone was like just like, oh hey, Idris Elba. Yeah, do you want to be in this Dark Tower movie right across from Matthew McConaughey? That movie was so bad.
It was, but I loved the books. So that's why I gave it I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt, but then I watched it and I'm like, oh my god, what have you done?
No more benefit of the doubt for you. I'm sorry. Your doubt benefits have been taken away.
Agreed.
So February 12th, this one I only brought up because I didn't realize this until I read the Wikipedia page. So February 12th, State of Emergency came out. This was Rockstar's like I guess their more arcadey GTA game. Josh, did you know this game is set in 2023? Or at least the first part of the game is set in 2023.
I did not know that.
This is the future we are heading towards.
We just beat the crap out of convicts and stuff?
It's like I forget the exact story, but like the government's taken over and like different groups are just like it's just life is just the purge.
Chaos.
Life is just the purge. And they did do a second one of these eventually. This doesn't look fun. I was watching a bunch of gameplay of this and I was like, "Oh, this is like 2000. This looks like fucking 2002."
It does. It reminds me. It reminds me of give me like Dead Rising setting in a mall with GTA style, but in taxi driver mode.
Now, when we
Or Crazy Taxi.
When we get to the year Dead Rising comes, I'm going to gush over that game because I think that game set up a lot of things that we're seeing in a lot of games now. But yeah, I see the Dead Rising that you're seeing. What I don't like is how the main character is lighted differently than all the other characters.
Yeah, they're all darker, and he's like really light.
So he's got a backlight on him, and everyone else is just like a normal person. It's kind of like that thing in movies where like, have you seen Baby Driver?
Yeah.
So you know the spoilers for Baby Driver. I think it's 5 or 6 years old at this point. So cover your ears if you don't want Baby Driver spoiled. You know the scene where Jamie Foxx gets impaled on that thing. And I just realized I saw a movie with Jamie Foxx, like 2 Jamie Foxx movies on the same day. That day I saw it, but. So that beam he gets impaled on has a red like flag like flailing from it.
Yeah.
And it's normal in movies to like have some kind of red imagery on something that's going to kill somebody. I've always hated that because once you hear it, you start seeing it in all these other movies. You're like, son of a bitch. Like,
right.
It just kind of spoils it for you once you know it's a thing. But yeah, I'm not crazy about this. I think Rockstar literally should have just stuck to their guns, which they did after this.
They got super lazy with this. I'm just realizing this. That whole mob he just fought, literally the same exact sprite. Like there is not a single thing
Not
that
a
was different.
single
Like
difference.
the only thing that made this one right here that he's beating them to death right now different was it didn't have a bat.
Oh, he's got a katana now. This is gonna be nasty. But yeah, you could get away. I feel like you could get away with it back then. Now it's not so. Oh, how'd you miss that? Hit somebody. Sorry. This is a
All right,
this is a
we're getting
podcast. This is
yeah,
a
we're
we're getting too into this video. I'm going to close this because the people who are listening are like, what the hell are they talking about? Again, we're already through the first 2 months of the year. Oh, I'm sorry. We're not through February yet. We got a little more to go. Guitaro Man, which I believe is a spiritual successor to Parappa the Rappa. I think it's the same team.
That was a fun game.
This
I
came
don't
out February
think I heard too
18th.
much
And this one's big. If you look at it, you can kind of see like, oh, hey, like that reminds me of some stuff they would later on. Like it's not the same people who did all the music games, but oh, that reminds me of some rock band type stuff. That reminds me of all these different beat games. It specifically reminds me of what's the one with the DJ? Was that DJ Hero?
Yeah, DJ Hero.
Kind of reminds me of the gameplay of DJ Hero with the wicked. But yeah, it's also got the narrative of Parappa the Rappa. This was on PS. I think this is also Dreamcast. It still looks pretty good, even though we're looking at an up-res version of it right now.
I mean, what's crazy about this too is these types of games are actually making a comeback. I don't know if you've heard or seen Friday Night Funks.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it. What is Friday Night
definitely
Funks?
So it's more of like definitely an indie game, of course. It's got more of like a Peppa the Rappa type deal where it's direct arrow directions and stuff. But the concept is very similar to that, but you are an up and coming rapper who's starting to date like this like really, or not date, but you're trying to basically go out with this really attractive girl at your school, and you find out that her parents are basically like super influential, rich, and evilish to an extent that they're like devils and stuff. And
I was just gonna ask, are they rappers, and you kind of have to rap the way into their hearts?
you like basically you were trying to work your way into like the family and everything. So like you, at one point I think you rap against the parents, you're up against like somebody they've hired, the cool guy at the school. Like you rap against all these other people. It's really good. And there's a lot of videos on it. I recommend just taking a look at it when you have a chance.
Send me a link after the show. I'm gonna take a look at it.
But yeah, it's really cool, and actually the soundtrack is pretty good too. Like for an indie game, I'm not gonna lie, indie games have gotten a lot better, in not only the sense of game direction and story, but music composure as well. Like it's getting really good.
Have you seen? I mean, I don't know if you've watched a lot of Game of the Year stuff, but we're not doing a Game of the Year, by the way, because we review all the years. But I've seen Inscription win a lot. I've seen Chicory win a few. Like, it's indies be banging right now.
Because they can actually listen to the fan base, or they are the fan base compared to AAA titles who are like, oh, well, we're going to do what we want. And that's like, that's great and all, but you're going to lose the majority of your fan base. That's the only reason your games stay alive, or people even buy it.
Yeah, listen to the folks. Like, Company of Heroes has, like, a committee, which I think's cool. I think more games should have a committee. I'm not saying that, like, fans know what's best, but, like, having your finger on the pulse and talking to those people, I think, is going to help your game, especially if you want it to have long legs. Now, if you're just releasing it and you're like, okay, we're on to the next thing, that's one thing. But if you're looking to have a long shelf life, having a committee like that, I think, can help your title in the long run.
My only example of it that's showing that needs that is like if you look at Rockstar, they don't listen to their fan base when it comes to GTA, but they do add a lot of content consistently. Where if you look at Red Dead Online, a lot of them are crying like, "Hey, we need something. We have a dying community," and Rockstar is just kind of like, "We don't care," even though Red Dead Online is fairly newer compared to
that's just like
GTA Online.
That's just like the people who bitch about 343 and Halo right now with it losing all of its players. Like, guys, there are so many games now. Like, people are going to, like, yes, it's free, but people are going to leave. Like, that's the business right now. Like, people are going to go to the next thing because things just keep coming out. No one's going to stick with something unless you give them something to stick with, or if you're looking for a long shelf life and plan on like Halo Infinite. Like, Infinite is in the name, so I get why they're complaining, but also like you have to have something where it feels like more of a community, like the developers and the publisher are talking with the community and having the community in on it, because that's the only. I mean, look at Rocket League, look at Fortnite. These are getting long in the tooth, Josh. We're trying to.
let's just keep going. It's
We're
just fun.
trying to we're trying to
So we
get this
can
down to
come
an
on.
we're trying to get this down to an hour.
Plenty of
Jet Set
plenty all
Radio
time.
Future. So this came out on Xbox. This was February 25th. Josh, did you know they're doing randomizers for this one?
Actually, I did not know they were doing randomizers for this
I was
one.
I was reading this. I was like, really, a randomizer? This, I think, I look at this and I see the Sunset Overdrives of the world. I see just those fast-paced run around the world, like Crackdown. Once you get a certain point with your jump abilities in Crackdown, this is basically like those are basically the same thing.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree that this is. I mean, I agree. That's all I can say is I agree to that.
I just remember all the inline skaters like dancing weird, and it's funny because I think inline skating's kind of working its way back into the zeitgeist, which I have no problem with. I wish all those skaters the best. This next one's a little self-indulging, just because I'm kind of an RTS guy right now. Kind of, come on. March 26th, Army Men RTS. I believe this is from Pandemic Studios, the team that would go on to do all the Destroy All Humans games that everybody loves. It's
Who
an art.
doesn't love it?
It's an RTS. This is their this is very out of their portfolio. So I just thought it was very weird that Pandemic was making an RTS for the Army Men, which I think theme wise is really cool. But this looks like shit.
Well, I mean, also, I think though this is 2002, so this is still. I mean, if you compare it at the time to like the Command and Conquerors or oh yeah, Nick, what's another RTS at the time? I can't think.
Well, how old's Age of Empires 3 at this point?
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I mean, for the time, I would say it's probably up there as being pretty good or at least decent. Where now, obviously, if you compare it to nowadays, it's like it did not age very well. There are a few games at least that can age
AOE,
well, but this did
AOE
not age
2.
well.
AOE 2 aged very well. So I was playing, by the way, I was playing StarCraft the other night, and I was talking to Anthony. I was like,
Yeah.
this game came out the same year as Gears of War 3. And then I had like a oh shit moment, like Gears of War 1 is older than StarCraft 2. Like it was one of those.
Oh wow, I didn't even think that. I realized it.
Like just like when you look back and compare things, like, oh yeah, this came out before this and that. But one feels like it would be newer, but you're like, see, I just saw your face. I get like
Just
that
like,
was
it hit me. It hit me. I'm like, oh my god, that's true.
that was one of my like, whoa, hold on, hold the phone. April, so we're skipping ahead. A bunch of games came out, but we're hitting the important ones as we leave Army Men RTS. Remake came out April 30th, which the surprising thing about Remake to me is it came out only 6 years after the original.
Only 6?
Only 6. The original came out in 96. I'm pulling up the video now. They're going through a door. It's very spooky. 90, yeah, it came out in, oh, the timing on that. Jill popped up in the door frame. It was the door you go in where it's like right on her. Timing was
Right.
perfect. If you're on audio, you missed out on a special treat. Go watch it. Yeah, and they did so much to this. This was part of Nintendo and Capcom's deal where Capcom was going to do, I think it was 5 or 6 games, and that deal included like the PNO3s, the Beautiful Joes, the RE4s. This came, I think, right before that deal. So this was either part of that deal or this was the game that like those two were like,
Sold them on the deal.
yo, this is dope. Let's get in on a deal. What did they add? They added Alicia Trevor. They added some rooms. It just feels like a more complete game. They added the Crimson Heads, which are terrifying. Zombies
Oh my
can
god, lost some Crimson Heads.
zombies can burst through doors. It's just very, very more atmospheric. Like, and even now, like the game's been re-released on everything because that's who Capcom is right now as a company. Their brand is just putting shit back out. Make Lost Planet come back, damn it. But that's what they do right now. But look at this. I think we're looking at I think this might be like an Xbox version, but this looks great.
I mean, I own it for the Xbox.
I own it. I
for
own it
the
on
Switch.
Steam. Yeah.
I own it on Steam. I mean, it's a fantastic game. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Like, as a kid, I used to be terrified of this game. I could never beat it. As an adult, I cannot get enough of it. And plus, don't know if anybody's ever watched it. I keep bringing it up all the time. Randomizers. Watch randomizers with Resident Evil Remake. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. They've got door randomizers. They've got item randomizers, enemy randomizers, rooms where you can run into I forget the snake's name, but You can run into him. You
Jan.
can run
His
into
name is
like
Jan.
Yon. You can run into Yon in different rooms. You can run into Super Tyrant in different rooms. I mean, really, if you ever get bored and you're just curious, highly recommend it.
It's the game that like I hope they like this game is great, but I also kind of hope they give it the RE2 remake treat.
I do too, but I also wanted for the longest time for them to go back and make Resident Evil 2 and 3 in this sense. Like, give me this style in RE2 and 3, and I'd be set. Like, at that point, it made them. They're making the money. So.
I think the camera angles are a little dated. Like even like that coming out, like they did really great with those camera angles, but it only works in that one because you're in tight spaces most of the time, and you'll see like when you get outside like how messy it is. Like when you get back into like it's very messy with where the camera is. You kind of almost wish like for those outdoor portions they would like, okay, we're going to squeeze in on you and like this will become a third person. Like if they did a remake, I would hope that's what they would do, because that's why that first one is so loved, because those camera angles really set the atmosphere. You're in this big mansion, but you feel like the camera angles make you feel so small because you really don't know what's going on.
Well, no, and then you hear something and you're like, is that around the corner? You have no idea. It's like, do I sit here and wait? Is something going to come at me? What's going on here?
I just want to know what's etched on that door and what key is going to get me into it. So we move into May. Morrowind. This is where Bethesda really started to get their footing, I feel like. Oh, trying to open this. Come on, YouTube. Did you know? Come on, Morrowind. Did you know that Bethesda saved money on this game by self-publishing the strategy guide on their own?
I did hear that. And I think that's the only reason why Oblivion was such a huge deal afterwards, because they made so much money by doing stuff like that. Because I think they even had like a skeleton crew only working on Morrowind, if I'm correct.
So Morrowind, like, just think about that. They were working on, not only were they working on the game, they were working on something that was like 10 times thicker than this. But then also that probably helped going into Oblivion, because you have you're already building your lore making the game, but then you going back over your lore, doing the strategy guide, and like looking at like, hey, when we were developing this part, we had it go into this cave. I don't know why we did this. So then for Oblivion, let's do it this way. So just you have that chance to like self-reflect. Whereas, like podcasters, for example, every podcast I ever listened to, they're always like, I don't listen to my own stuff. And I get that. But I feel like if podcasters listen to their stuff more, they'd hear where their shortfallings are and what they can build upon. It's just fascinating that they did the strategy guide, and then I feel like that really showed in Oblivion, because they were able to just reflect on what was wrong with Morrowind, which, by the way, no fast travel, it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, but still, for being like this is like the game that set up Elder Scrolls, in my opinion. Like, no one else talks about the other ones. The first thing you hear is Morrowind, and then if you don't hear Morrowind, you go straight to Oblivion, and then if not Oblivion, Skyrim.
The only people who bring up the first one in Daggerfall are the people who are drinking the Kool-Aid.
See, I couldn't even remember Daggerfall. I don't even know. Does the first one even have a name?
I don't remember the first one's name. I remember Daggerfall. Daggerfall was like top-down perspective. That's about all I know. And I've never played Morrowind. I just remember going to Game Monster and look at the Morrowind Game of the Year box and seeing all the DLC on there. But skill recognizes skill. You never turn your head when Morrowind enters the room. Damn it, never. All right, up next. Are we still in May? I think we're still in May.
We are.
We're cruising right along, though. The Legacy of Goku.
The second best of the series, in my opinion.
Did you ever play Blues Fury?
I did play Blues Fury.
How'd you like it?
I think if I had to pick an order how the games go, it goes Legacy of Goku 2, Legacy of Goku 1, and then 3.
Were they just trying to get too JRPG with 3, or what happened?
It felt like they were trying to do too much with it. There's too much to it. How about that? Like like Legacy of Goku, there wasn't enough. And then Legacy of Goku 2 was just right, and then the third one was just too much.
I remember Legacy of Goku being on Snake Road for what felt like forever.
The only thing I truly remember is the glitch where if you're flying and you get hit with a Kai blast while you're flying, you get invisibility
I remember that too.
until either walked away or you flew again.
I'm looking for the Frieza fight. Here it is. Fighting Frieza was amazing, and then he blows up Krill. Oh my god, this game!
I
Like this
still think I still think two's better.
two was amazing. I remember two. I spilled hours into two, and then two. They even brought Cooler in. Like that's how you know the dev team was really into the series. They're like, hey, you know the movie, the Cooler movie. We should
Let's
do a
bring
cooler.
them.
We should bring Cooler in, and they did. And then like there were so
The
many
leveling
unlocks. Like
system's much better.
You could unlock Mister Satan. Uh,
Hardest got to level up, but
yeah.
still fun.
Who
It
was
was
it? So
actually
I'm trying to
sorry,
think. The five heroes were Goku, Piccolo, Gohan, Vegeta.
Vegeta,
Who is the fifth one? Was it Krillin?
uh, Trunks.
Oh, Trunks. You're right. You're right.
And you can unlock Mr. Satan after you did basically everything, and
Mm-hmm. And
you
that
could actually
fight,
use him to fight Cell. And if you had him high enough level, he could actually defeat some. I think he gave you a secret ending if you beat him with Cell.
and that fight,
Or beat him with
Mr. Satan. That fight
yeah.
was Cell. Oh my god. I was watching Cobra Kai, and they built an arena, and it looked just like the arena from the Cell games, and I got excited. I was so excited. Legacy of Goku. It doesn't look exciting, but I promise you, little 12-year-old, little 10-year-old
is
Nick was into this.
this is what made the Game Boy Advance so amazing. Honestly, if you've never played it, once again, yes, it looks outdated. It just doesn't look nearly as fun. But I recommend it. It's in my opinion, it's kind of like what Demon Souls would have been if it's on the Game Boy Advance, at least the first one.
Yeah.
Because
I
I mean, think about it, it was really hard.
I might need to do a replay of that series. I never played Blues Fury, but I would replay all three.
I definitely play all three for sure.
Up next, we are in June. Oh, Josh, I hated these games. You might have loved these games.
I loved these games.
I
You could
hated
not get
them.
enough of them.
They were so painful. Mega Man Battle Network 2 came out on, what was that, June 12th? Yeah, June 12th. I wasn't see when someone told me I was going to be playing Mega Man back then, I was like, "Oh, cool, gonna go through the levels and like shoot people." No, they didn't tell me it was this 3D or this 2D isometric like card battler. Like it hurt. It hurt me so bad.
It was so much fun. Like,
I
I don't care what anybody says. Like after the third one, like I think they went up to like 5 or 6. So I agree. After the third set, because it was like you had Battle Network 1, and then you had Battle Network 2, and they were two different colors, and then Battle Network 3 was two different colors, and then that was like their theme. They kept going with different colors. So
Okay.
you'd have like two versions of it where they were basically the same thing, but there were some ways to differentiate from them. So like you could do cool things. I mean, I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but uh, it's just so much fun. Like honestly, definitely a fantastic series to look into. Would I say right now go play it? No, but if you're ever bored and you realize that all these AAA title companies are, pulling your chain and you're trying to find something to kill boredom, just give it a look. Even if you don't play it, just even pull up some videos. Like it's a lot of fun.
I think
That's all I
I'd
gotta say.
I think I'd enjoy it now, but as a kid, like you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go play Mega Man," and then you hop on this, and you're like, "This isn't Mega Man." That was my response. I'd like it now though.
I enjoyed it, and even as a kid, like I remember watching the show, and I enjoyed the show as well. It was a fantastic show.
Can we agree that the painful parts were the parts where you weren't jacked in?
Agreed. I hated playing as what was his name? I can't remember his name, but the kid's name, your owner. So like basically, so everybody who doesn't know, you're playing as programs basically. So in here, Mega Man is more of a program. So it's Mega Man EXE, and then you have like Rockman EXE, stuff like that. So you're basically you jack into the internet, and you're using your program to run around and do stuff. But there are times where you're playing as your kid or your owner, and you're just running around doing nothing. I mean, you're like literally, it's more for plot than it is for anything.
Josh, a lot of people use the internet to jack, but it's not jack in.
They're not jacking in, no.
So that was the Mega Man that really wasn't a Mega Man. July 3rd. I can't believe this game came out in 2002. Warcraft 3. And again, another RTS. I know I'm the RTS head here. Josh, do you know what the importance of Warcraft 3 is to our current gaming infrastructure?
The only one I knew for sure was the custom map making, but I'm sure there's more.
We have, yeah, well, okay, so you're touching on part of it. Warcraft 3. We have Warcraft 3 to thank for Dota,
I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if I
which
should love it or if I should hate it then.
which in turn means we have Warcraft 3 to thank for League. We have Warcraft 3 to thank for any other MOBA that has come out since then.
So basically, we need to go back in time and murder Warcraft 3.
Warcraft 3 is fine. I haven't played Reforged. I haven't played Warcraft 3 at all, honestly. I think the big difference is there are hero factions. I obviously need to do more research. I'm still deep diving back into older RTS. Like I said at the top of the show, I just started playing StarCraft 2 and I'm loving it. So I'll eventually get to this, but Josh, thank Warcraft 3 for what it's done for all of us.
Warcraft 3, I'll see you in hell.
Oh, Josh.
I mean, I'm not saying I hate Warcraft because of the game itself. I hate it because people don't shut up about Dota 2 and League of Legends. Like, I get it. They're a huge part of the gaming industry, and we have to give them credit where credit is due. But if you don't like them or you don't play them, you are basically garbage in their eyes.
It's also totally okay to dunk on Blizzard for anything they're doing or Activision Blizzard right now, Josh. So dunk away.
Oh, God. Okay, well, fine. How dare you, Blizzard? Where do you get off?
Where do you get off?
Moving on.
Josh is done dunking. August 20th. So we are jumping around pretty fast. We were going to get this under an hour and a half, I swear. August 20th, The Thing came out. And the thing that... see what I did there. The thing that surprised me most about The Thing is that John Carpenter not only signed off on the game happening, he's in it. He has a little cameo role. And then also it's sold buku dolor, like it's sold really well. And this doesn't look bad. I mean,
you can tell it's aged, but I mean, I'm sure if you were to like go back and like smooth everything out and then maybe add a little more pixels to it, I bet you it would look fantastic as a remaster.
Give The Thing like an Alien Isolation treatment, or even make it the next Among Us. Like it's right, like that's what Among Us is based, like that's what it's pulling from. So just make this game but make it Among Us. And really, like, instead of like chores, like you're just trying to keep the station alive while you try to find out who the thing is while it changes everybody else.
It destroys the station. Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree.
That would
That'd
be dope.
Fantastic.
Because
I'd play it.
what are the other horror games that have come out? So they've done a Friday the 13th, which was okay. They did a Predator game. Didn't they just announce another scary like game that they're doing? They just announced there was another one. I can't think of who it was. I think it might have been.
I think they're doing another Alien game, aren't they?
Well, they're always doing Alien games. I think.
Well, I get that, but I thought they were doing another one unless it's already out.
What was it? Was it a text? It was one of those horror movies. I'll have to look it up. I'll let you know. But this one like feels ripe for it, especially with us getting ready to go into probably another lockdown here. Why not? I say, give us more thing, please. All right, moving right along into the next game, we have. I don't have video for it, so looking at the rest of August, we've got Medieval Total War, which we talked about Medieval. I think it was in 2000 when the first game came out. Mm-hmm. This was more improved and better, and I don't know if they ever did like a up-res of it. August 25th, Super Monkey Ball 2 came out. We're not putting up video of Super Monkey Ball. You've seen it. You know Super Monkey Ball.
It's the same game, just rehashed. It's basically a sports game, just rehashed. That's all it is, guys.
You know Super Monkey Ball. Don't make me put it up, please. Please. August 27th, SOCOM U.S. Navy SEALs. So this is where Sony really starts to show its online balls for everybody. And I think
this is like the game that like made like Nintendo and Microsoft go, oh shit.
They were like, online?
What?
You can do that online? What? Oh, I paused the video.
This was definitely the game where all these other companies were like panicking, like, holy shit, we need to do something quick.
Oh, look, there's a Boomer. One of the guys on his team is named Boomer. Hold on, let's fast forward into the hot gameplay everybody wants to see.
Remember, though, this is the game everybody was playing, though. I don't think you could go anywhere with that, but somebody going, "Oh, I'm playing SOCOM."
I think it peaked at 2. I think 2 was the one that like was really considered a game changer.
Oh,
like,
it was, but this is the game that everybody's like, "Oh shit."
Watching this, I think back to like the game that we played a lot, Conflict Desert Storm. Like
Which was
gameplay wise,
also fantastic.
they were basically the same thing, and like
No,
that.
this was like PlayStation's answer to it.
Yeah, and I'm not crazy about this. It looked okay. I'm sure it was
Back
just.
in the day, it was good. Back in the day, it was good.
I think
Obviously,
I think it was the fact that like you were playing it, and then your dumbass friend Tony could get on the headset and be like, "Dude, we're in a video game," like shit like that.
yeah.
Like
Basically.
if you put this game out today, people be like, "What the fuck are you like?" And again, like that's an unfair bias to look at it from. But I look at this and I'm like, ugh.
Well, like I said, this is going back and looking at, like, obviously we're in that era where we grew up where there wasn't online play,
Mm-hmm.
and we've slowly transitioned into it where now it's, if your game doesn't have online play, you might as well not even make the game.
Yeah, like what are you doing? You're charging me $60 for a campaign? Who are you?
Right. So we're that generation where we have had both ends, and then you're looking at a generation now. They're like, oh, if it doesn't have online, I'm not going to play it. And if you look at older generations, they're like hesitant because it's like they love these games, but they're so nostalgic for back when you were by yourself, or you know what I mean. Like they were
Right.
into the campaign, the solos. So
Driving home the point that Sony was going balls deep on online that day. Twisted Metal Black's online also dropped the same day as SOCOM. So they really wanted to make a splash with their online at this point.
yeah, and I honestly, what a fantastic game to make online.
Moving into September 10th, Battlefield 1942 came out. I'm not putting video of it because you know Battlefield. You're tired of Battlefield. We know that because you didn't buy 2042, you bastard. 3 million copies sold by 2004, though. So in a matter of 2 years, they sold 3 million copies. Cool.
Fantastic. Honestly, this is back when they knew what they were doing.
Yeah. Now let it die or find something else to do, EA, please.
Shut your mouth. Let them fix it. Let them be
Dice.
better.
Dice,
Let
listen.
them be
Dice.
better.
Dice. Look. Put your ear up to the microphone. Or put your ear up to the headphone. Dice, you are capable of so much more. Don't let them do this to you. Also out on September 10th, Mega Man Zero, which was apparently a very difficult game on the Game Boy. I didn't pull video for it because I have a one Mega Man game video rule per podcast.
And you picked Battle Network? What is wrong with you?
You were singing the praise for Battle Network, Josh. You were like,
But if I'm compared
you
to
were
the Mega
cupping-
Man Zero franchise, Zero picks up way better.
you were cupping the balls and saying, "I love you, Battle Network."
I was cupping the balls. I'm over here working the shaft right now for Zero.
Hold on, Josh. We need this podcast to run clean. Say what you need about Zero. You're not getting any video for it.
Okay, that's fine. Honestly, I mean, it's great because it picks up basically right after the X series. So everybody loves Mega Man X,
Mm-hmm.
and it's set like hundreds of years into the future where Zero wakes up basically, and like the world is different. There are elves, which are basically like robotic. Anyway, besides the point, it's fantastic. The story is great. You play as Zero, the greatest character next to Mega Man X. Like you can't go wrong. Like that's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. That's all you get. And time.
That's all I'm saying.
Mega Man time has ended. I'm sorry, Josh. That's
I can
all.
rant all day. I can rant all day. Anyway, moving on. September 15th.
September 15th, this is when the GameCube really started to show its teeth. And I don't know if it was as big a deal back then as it is now. Animal Crossing came out. The very first Animal Crossing. I remember farting around with the time in this one a lot and just fast forward. I think it went up to, did it go up to 2020 or 2030?
I think it did, yeah.
One of the two. And I just remember, it's sad. Like, if we got a copy of this and a memory card for your GameCube and played it, and then like didn't play it for a year, you come back to your town, and it's basically a ghost town. Think of all the towns that are like ghost towns right now.
There's more than you can admit. I mean, honestly, this was like you said, it wasn't as big as a deal as it was, I mean, even now. But I still think, like you said, it definitely showed the GameCube was capable of so much.
This was Nintendo looking at The Sims and being like, we can do that. Oh, and the gyroids are amazing.
I just remember being able to get the arcades. I wanted like all the old arcades.
I think
Donkey
that was
Kong
the biggest deal because they basically were like, you want to play old Nintendo games? Here you go. Like, Nintendo doesn't do that anymore. If you want to play old Nintendo games, you're going to pay.
I think that's one reason why I don't like the newest Animal Crossing. yeah, it's all the stuff that we're familiar with, but they've taken away so much from it. Like we can't play these arcade games. You can't. I mean, you know what I mean? Like yeah, the edge you could build a bigger house and bigger towns, but I wasn't in that for Animal Crossing. I was like, oh, I want to collect all the arcades and I want to collect all this money and all that. You know what I mean?
You have the new one, right?
Yeah, I do.
I think this might be the only one without Isabelle too. People love the hell out of Isabelle.
I think you're right. I
People,
honestly have not played it enough to be able to be like, oh, I can appreciate it enough. But I've played the GameCube one enough to go, man, that's when it was right.
I
That's
re-
like the first time.
I remember I'd get excited for the holidays and just like they didn't really do much in the GameCube one, but like, oh hey, there are pumpkins. I'm gonna go play on Halloween, stuff like that.
Right.
Or going to I think we connected a Game Boy a few times and went to the island. Which, if when you look back, the Game Boy stuff is just like, eh. But at the time, you were so you're like, I'm going to the island. I'm gonna get all this stuff, and I'm gonna sell it so I can pay off my house. Which is just and looking back is very sad as well because you're like, oh, this was getting me ready for adulthood.
Honestly, it really was. It was like right on the nose. Like, okay, well, you need to pay off all this stuff. It's going to cost you 150,000 bells, and it's like, oh, okay, well, that doesn't seem like a lot.
Animal Crossing was just teaching us how to monetize everything.
It's not wrong.
Moving on before I start crying about the state of the world, the state of adulthood as I turn 30 this Sunday. So if you're hearing this on Monday, I'm already 30. It's already too late. They've come for me. Up next, as we get out of sad, old and dying times, September 16th, I didn't pull a video for this one either. Castlevania, Harmony of Dissonance.
That's okay.
At least I was reading some reviews and it sounded like it was the least impressive of those GBA games.
I guess at the time it was like a great filler, but really it's the least memorable. There's nothing. I mean, nothing. It didn't like make itself stick out at least. Besides the fact that it was on the Game Boy Advance.
So this next one, Josh, I didn't pull a video for either, and you probably hate me.
You hate me
because
so much.
Because we're already at 40 minutes. I didn't want to turn this into an hour 40 on this game alone. I'm not going to say the name. I'm just going to sing the first 4 lyrics of the song and we'll see if you know it. When you walk away,
That's not the first 4 lyrics of the song.
you don't hear me say, please don't go. Oh, baby, don't go. Simple and clean. It's Kingdom Hearts, if in case you were wondering. That song is a banger. I will say.
Honestly, and the fact that they kept, I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but the same singer for all of the songs.
She did all the songs?
So for Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3, she did all the songs.
She did a song for 3 after all these years?
She did 2 songs for 3. She did the opening, and then she also did another song with, God, who's one of the famous Skrillex, I call them. I can't think of the name.
Is it Deadmau5?
I think it is Skrillex now that I say it.
Josh, we're gonna break DMCA. They're gonna take us down if we keep this up.
But Kingdom Hearts was. I mean, honestly, I agree with one thing everybody says. There's too much Disney. I 100% agree with that. It's too like
Had they not done these first 2 games, or especially this first one, I don't think we would have gotten 3 or any of the games that we have now. Any of the 20 million games, just because. Could you imagine trying to do a Kingdom Hearts 1 right now with like? Like Disney is very precious about what gets out.
I think they could, but the problem is if it was done now, we'd have to not only do Disney, but then you'd also have Marvel. You'd also have Star Wars. Like you'd have all these franchises mixed into one, and it's like I don't know if I could handle it. But it's Disney, to an extent. Disney at the time was like okay, because like a lot of it was like, oh, we're gonna do the friendly, feel good friendship thing. And as it progressed, like they started getting to like the more darker territories, like they added like Pirates of the Caribbean.
They did Tron too, right?
They did do Tron. Like some of the darker aspects, like it did get a little more darker. And even then with 3, it was still on the darker sense. Like it wasn't like the first one was like super like love and joy and spread peace upon the earth. And then Chain Memories was like kind of forgotten but still good, and then 2 was like, okay, we're gonna get a little darker because we're gonna add more of a mystery aspect and stuff, and then 3 was just like, I mean, it's still not as good, but it was just like mind blowing because it's like they can do so much more with it, and I'm hoping they're getting away from like the Disney aspect.
Josh, you said that Chain of Memories was mainly forgotten. Wasn't that the point of Chain of Memories?
That is true, but it also added plot, so.
Did 3 add any worlds, like any Marvel worlds or any Star Wars worlds?
No, so it is kind of based. Actually, they removed some worlds. The only worlds that they added that were like you knew they were going to do it: Toy Story,
Okay.
Monsters Incorporated.
So Pixar. They added Pixar.
Yeah, basically, and Frozen.
They added Frozen.
They added Frozen.
I might have to look that up. That sounds like it would be pretty cool. Though, I,
Uh, it's okay.
though you don't really need Sora poking his nose into a story about like sisters like finding each other. Get the fuck out of here,
Yeah.
Sora. Moving on, because we could spend an hour here. September 23rd, Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus came out.
Yes.
So I know like the back and forth of the PS2 was always, oh, I am Ratchet and Clank, man. I am Jack and Dexter, man. I was a motherfucking Sly Cooper guy.
I honestly I love all three, but Sly Cooper was like at the time, like when it coming out, it was like okay, this is like a solid like level design, concept design,
So
abilities.
this was Sucker Punch. I don't know if they did anything before this. They weren't like the apple of Sony's eye like Insomnia or Naughty Dog. But I also think that Sucker Punch has had some bigger like I think honestly, I've Sucker Punch came into their stride PS2, PS3 cuz PS3 they were the infamous people.
Mm-hmm.
And then did they what was PS4 PS4 was just Ghost of Tsushima for them, right?
No, they also had one infamous game on the PS4.
Yeah, but that was kind of take it or leave it.
Right.
But I think these guys are really good because Insomnia kind of took the back seat for PS3 with the Resistance series, which I thought was fine, but yeah, it wasn't anything special. And then people love Naughty Dog for Uncharted, but I'm also like, meh, it's okay. It's just okay.
I can agree. I mean, I enjoy them, but it's not like I'm not going to be like fist up someone's butt like working them because it was so good.
You need to play Sly Coop. You need to play these.
Play Uncharted.
The boss fights in this Thievius Raccoonus game are really good too. Now that we're looking at this big guy. All right, moving on. Oh wait, I have to hit the button before we move on. How to Podcast 101. Up next, Burnout 2, Point of Impact. Very cheeky name for them, considering what you're doing in the game.
No.
No, Nick, you don't say. I never played 2. I did play 3.
We played the crap out of
Oh,
3.
we played so much 3. Like, that disc had to be all scratched. Acclaim, that's a name I haven't heard in years.
That's a logo I haven't seen in years.
Oh, I love the student driver on this. Let's fast forward to the carnage. So basically, you're just stacking up points trying to cause wrecks. Yeah, they snuck races in here, but so did 3. I wasn't ever crazy about the races.
No, I loved the crashing because it was just so cool.
Mm-hmm. And 3, like 3 with the mix of the soundtrack, the crashing. Like 3 was the most like mid 2000s game I think I've ever played. We might have to find a copy of that, Josh, and boot it up.
Play it. Oh yeah.
Not 2 though. 2 was just okay in my book, but this is where people
didn't 2 incorporate more racing than anything though. Like
I think
wasn't
so.
much. It wasn't so much of the crashing. The crashing aspect only was like when you're racing against other people, you could bash into them and it would show you like the impact. But it wasn't like I remember 3, but like the one specific game mode where you would literally go into different sections of different maps and would cause chaos.
So 2 also had the crash mode as well, but
Okay,
yeah.
it did.
So they both have a lot of the same, like the race is the crash mode, and I think 2 is what put the series on the map. 3, I think, really honed in on it and just really like had a style. And I know that's what journalists say when they're like trying to end a conversation. But no, 3 was dripping with style, and we'll see it. I think it's like the 2004 recap when we do it. 2004, 2005. Until then. What will happen? What will happen with the Burnout series? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. Up next.
Wrong show.
I'm sorry. Smashing Game Time. Okay, so looks like I got really lazy and didn't pull a bunch of videos for these, but I think we can do round robin here at the end.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so October 1st was Hitman 2 Silent Assassin, which even when I played it back in its prime, that game was a pain in the ass, especially when you got to Japan, like the Japan missions being in the mountains. Like people saw you everywhere you went.
So if I remember correctly, I think 2 was the hardest of all of them, right?
2 was so hard. Once you got past the Japan missions, it got a little easier, but still very hard. Still a great game. But I think Hitman, the series, like really took its next step with Contracts and Blood Money a few years later. GameCube really showing its teeth even more. October 4th was Super Mario Sunshine, the least liked of the Super Mario games. I liked it.
I think it's my favorite of the 3D.
It's
All
art.
the 3Ds. I think it's my favorite.
It's very like Mario's usually colorful, but this one is like very colorful. Like I like the way I don't know what the gunk in it's called, but like the gunk that's everywhere.
I just remember it being called the ink.
You have a new bad guy that isn't Bowser. I know it's Baby Bowser. Shut the fudge up. I caught myself, but it's still like a new villain, a new.
Oh wait, spoiler alert! 19-year-old spoiler alert, everyone. Sorry.
I'm sorry. The bad guy is Baby Bowser. Sorry. October 15th was Red Faction 2, which I didn't get to do research on that one. Did that one have the destruction you thought the first one had?
I could have sworn it was the first one. I didn't do it, so
I'll
have to go back. But I think it was one that had the destruction, and two, they kind of cut back on it.
I think you're getting mixed up because that was the big selling point for Guerrilla. They're like, hey, you see that tower over there? You can knock that shit down.
So Guerrilla did have the destruction, but I remember the first mission in Red Faction. You could like take your you could have like rockets and stuff, and you could blow through the walls of like the mines you're in and create your own paths.
Okay, girl. Okay, I believe you. I'm never gonna play the game, so we're just gonna have to take that as fact.
We'll look it up.
Hold on. I'm stamping the book. It's fact now. We can't question it. October 15th, Blood Rain also came out. Very bad game.
I thought it was good.
I thought the first one was bad. Second one was good, but I also liked how like eerie the first one was. I remember. I think the first mission you're in a bayou and you're fighting like this like Venus flytrap looking guy. And
I don't remember enough.
I like her story. It's a revenge story. I like the character. The first game was just kind of messy, but I think it got better. It got better with the second one. I don't know if they ever did a third one or not.
I don't think they did.
October 23rd, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4, which is the Pro Skater I spent the least amount of time with, but I think 4 is really where we're just like 3 was great. Let's slap 4 on it. Could you get off your board in 4, Josh, or was that Underground the first one?
I thought that was Underground was the first time you can get off your board.
Okay. 4 was great. Not a lot of people hating on it. It was another Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I think
okay.
It was starting like here's 3. It's peaking. 4's like right there, and then like right after 4 is when it starts to dibble dabble a little bit. November 1st, Age of Mythology, which is a spin-off of Age of Empires with some gods. I think they're Egyptian, Greek, and I forget what the third one is. It was okay. It's fine. People love Age of Mythology. People are it's 20 years old now, so people are kind of hoping they get a remaster of it since they remastered all the other Age of Empires. I'd be cool with that. I'd play it. If it's on Game Pass, I'd for sure play it. I just got Game Pass. It's amazing. November 4th, Ratchet and Clank. I know we were just talking shit about them, but that first game was fine. I don't think the series really
I think it was good enough to be able to go on, and I think Going Commando is when it really took off.
Going Commando, because the guns were crazier. The leveling up system was fun. I don't remember if the first one had a new game plus, but if it did, Going Commandos was better just because of the leveling up system. You were leveling your guns up and then doing it again.
I think it did, but all you could do is like get extra stuff. It wasn't like anything worthwhile. Like where like you said, you could level up. Like you got the Rhino, and then you also got the Rhino 2.0. I think was like the upgraded version of it that you only got once you beat the game and had the upgraded Rhino.
Okay,
yeah, it's called Rhino.
Going Commando is better. I think everyone will agree. November 12th, Resident Evil 0. So it's crazy that basically 2 new Resident Evil games came out in the same calendar year. I liked 0. People tend to like shit on it just because the timeline is messy. How the fuck is Rebecca getting around the woods so fast? Like, yes, I know she's on a train and using all these different vehicles, but she is miles away from the mansion by the end of it. Miles. And then Billy, we never see Billy ever again in the series. Billy is who knows where.
Now, what didn't make any sense too was so there was this second mansion basically far away, and then by the time she escapes, it's morning time, where in Resident Evil it was only like a few hours after they lost contact with Alpha Team.
And also they blow up the facility where the Queen Leech is, but you're telling me no one from the first game felt that explosion? That had to be that was a factory they blew up.
or even the smoke from it, because like you could like when they're walking away and they're getting ready to separate, you could see the mansion like right, like it was still far away, but it was like right there, and it's like really.
It was just a really bad retcon. I feel like there is a world where Resident Evil Zero could get a remake and be a great retcon for Rebecca.
I think if they do it, it'll be better. Like obviously, like if you look at like 2 and 3, like 2 and 3 are set up basically at the same time. Like 3 is happening before 2, but 2 starts basically when uh, Jill basically is infected. That's like the timeline, or to the extent that's pretty damn close.
Right.
So I think they'll do something like that where they'll fix it a little better, so it's more
Like where Zero lines up with 1, where like Rebecca's on the train before the events of Resident Evil 1, and then eventually Zero leads perfectly into 1 where she meets up with Chris.
exactly.
I'd be down for a remake of it. Train section's amazing. I like the train section. Everything
That's the
else,
best part.
everything else, I'm like, meh. Metroid Prime came out on November 15th. We used to make fun of you for liking this game.
I know, and you were the reason why we didn't get it. I remember we were at GameStop.
I remember this.
You wanted a game. I wanted Metroid Prime, and you wanted a different game. And you said, "No, we don't need this game."
Yeah, I remember. I
don't remember what game you wanted.
Was it a shitty Batman game? Maybe.
No,
Shitty Batman sounds like that would have been you though too.
I did get the shitty Batman eventually, but no, I don't think it was a shitty Batman game for you. It was something else. I just don't remember. But your game was cheaper than mine. That's why you were like, "No, don't get it," because we were gonna get Jake's game free, and Dad wouldn't let us buy it.
I am recalling it. Metroid Prime. It's a fine game. No, it's a great game. It's really good.
Shut your mouth. It's a fantastic.
It's really
game.
good. Like really like. It was one of those games where people were like, "How are they gonna do that?" And then Metroid Prime was like the only right answer.
I mean, we're all used to these 2Ds, and you heard Metroid Prime's gonna be a 3D game, and everybody's just like, "What?"
Metroid Prime is a fun game to look at. Like, I know there's what's a recent game? I know people talk about like the Phantom Pain, like about how like a lot of stuff was cut and it was still a great game. I think Metroid Prime is the other prime example of that, of a game that was great on its own, but there was so much cut. Because Kraid was cut. Kraid was supposed to be where the Omega Pirate was, and they're like, we can't make Kraid work, so put the Omega Pirate in and be done with it.
Yeah, they were being like, Nintendo was like hammering on them, like, we need to get this game out at this time, and if you don't, then basically like they were like working double overtimes. They were underpaid. I mean, the labor of love that if they were given the time necessary, I think it could have been even it'd probably be the most memorable game for the GameCube.
So
if they had that time.
Retro Studios did 1 through 3. Are they doing 4?
I think that was a part of it. I don't know if they're actually like the main.
Because I feel like somebody else was doing 4, and then they scrapped it, and were like, "Oh no, Retro Studios, they're doing 4 from now on."
Yeah, because I think the company that scrapped is now doing the remake or the report for Prime going onto the Switch.
Okay. Hey, Nintendo's the new Capcom. They're just porting everything. Now that they're done with all their Wii U stuff, they're like, okay, back to the GameCube. Here we go.
Right.
November 18th was the first Splinter Cell and Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. I stuck those together for reasons. Splinter Cell's fun. They're getting ready to bring it back.
I remember not being able to do the lock mechanic.
That was tough, and I remember just being stuck in the tutorial in Splinter Cell for a while. I was like a gaming journalist back then, just really bad at games. Stuck in the beginning part. Look at me go.
Give me the Kardashians and I would, an A+, but give me Splinter Cell. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Josh loves his Kardashian mobile games, so don't let him ever say that he's not a fan. November 24th, Mortal Kombat. It was a Mortal Kombat game. We didn't really play a lot of Deadly Alliance. I think we played Deception more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, Deadly Alliance, it's okay.
I think Deadly Alliance was the first one where people were like, hey, I think Mortal Kombat's back.
Was Deadly Alliance the one where they killed off Liu Kang?
I think so.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry.
November 24th, BMX Triple X. Because who doesn't like bikes and boobs? Moving on. December 3rd, DBZ Budokai and a port of A Link to the Past to the GBA. I put those two together just because.
Budokai, fantastic. Link to the Past port, of course, fantastic.
It's Link to the Past.
It's a great day.
You get to take Link to the Past on the road with you. Who doesn't like that?
I can't wait.
I thought we were done after that, Josh. No, we were not done. December 13th.
Nintendo just dropped a firebomb.
Dropped a firebomb. Oh, and the thing about this one was people were kind of mixed on it. Wind Waker came out. Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. I've
If I
always
remember correctly, they were only torn about it because of the
cell
style,
shading.
right? Yeah.
Well, it's because what Nintendo did, and they usually Nintendo don't do that, was they put out like before the GameCube came out, they did a video of Link and Ganondorf fighting. And it was like this, like regular art style. And then you get Wind Waker and people lost their freaking minds. They're like,
I remember correctly, it was the video where it looks like they're fighting in Ganondorf's castle, and it was like in the style of Ocarina of Time, right? But
Yep.
it was like more updated.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I do remember that.
If you look at what they did with Wind Waker, they kind of had that fight and it ended in like a very satisfying way. Like, I think Wind Waker has the most satisfying ending of any Zelda game.
And it was definitely the hardest game to play of all of them, in my opinion.
I think it was the most tedious once you got to the Triforce hunting, and they went and fixed that in the re-release. But the bosses were fine; they were great. I loved traveling on the sea and exploring. It was just the most explore, because Ocarina of Time. Yeah, you had the overworld, but really you were just going from dungeon to dungeon. Mm-hmm. Same with Majora's Mask. Like the central hub was very interesting, Majora's Mask, and that was fun. And then you had all your little like side villages before the dungeons. But this felt like the first truly like open world Zelda, where like things were going on at all times. The sea was dangerous as hell. The enemy was like, Ganondorf was scary in this one just because he's this big guy. You had the menacing ass bird, and then just that ending to drive the sword into his skull and have him turn to spoiler alert, have him drive the sword into his skull as the water is rushing down, sinking Hyrule. Ugh. And just to know that Wind Waker is the result, basically the follow up of Majora's Mask. Like on the timeline, Wind Waker happens because of Majora's Mask, if I'm remembering the timeline.
No. So so the hero saves everyone from darkness, but then he disappears, and then Ganondorf eventually comes back, and there's no one to fight him off. So like it's basically like Link never exists, or the hero never exists. Zelda still does.
Yeah. But, so the one where he disappears is because he disappeared from Majora's Mask.
Well, right. It's in a sense of like if you're going to follow timeline, yeah, it follows that specific timeline where the hero fails, like he just isn't there,
right,
to save Hyrule.
Yeah, because he comes back, and while he's farting around with the guy in a mask, Ganondorf's like, ha 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 ha.
He comes back and just destroys everything, and everybody's like, wait, like they heard the legends of the hero, and they're waiting for him. And he just never returns.
He does his Mandark laugh, and he comes back. He's like, oh, I like to think Ganondorf was hiding under a rock or hiding behind a rock, saw Link run away. Look both ways. Okay, I think the coast is clear. I think he's gone.
I just think of the meme with the guy rubbing his hand like.
Oh, the guy behind the tree.
That was Ganondorf as he saw Link disappear into the woods.
Swiggity swooty, I'm coming for that Hyrule booty. Hyrule booty. I call it Zyrule. I don't know what I was thinking. Hey, we got through it. We got through 2022 in record time. Oh my god, that never happens. Josh, what do you say?
That's some news.
What do you say we do some news?
Let's do it.
Read all about it. Latest football scores. Morning paper. Morning Star. Paper, mister?
It's time for old news. Not a whole lot of stuff stood out to me on here. We did have that Dutch model Jill de Jong is selected as the new digitized Lara Croft, which I don't remember when those movies came out, but she's basically the reason Angelina Jolie would become Lara Croft.
Lara Croft.
Because like the resemblance, it was a spitting resemblance. I was like, my goodness, is that the same woman? I don't know. Oh my goodness. Rockstar gets in trouble for GTA.
Who would have thought? And
the article I read said GTA 3 and Vice City. I don't think Vice City came out that quick. I think Vice City came out later in 2003. So, but yeah, who would have thought they were going to get in trouble for GTA? What was the lawyer's name? Jack Thompson?
Yeah.
I think he got disbarred, so F him. Sims overtakes Myst as being the best-selling PC game with 6.3 million units sold. People love their Sims. I'm surprised. I'd be interested to see what Sims 4 numbers are. I don't know if they're that much, but there are more people gaming.
Well, there has to be high because they're still releasing DLC. They've got their new, I think it's their wedding pack coming out. It's like, really? This game is already like. I remember working at Target when it first came out.
Right. Well, and more people now are gaming. Sims 4 has been out for a while. I mean, Steam just had its biggest Sunday ever. What was that? 2 weeks ago on the 2nd, or I guess that would be a week ago now. So yeah, congrats, Sims. 2002 belongs to you. G4 launches. So this was before G4 acquired Tech TV, and I don't think we had G4 until they acquired Tech TV. But now also G4 is back.
But at this point, G4 was like they were like trying to develop a channel for strictly gamers, and like they were looking at like gaming. Like it wasn't like X Play and Attack of the Show and all that, where it was like a mixture. It was just strictly like, what can game developers do to create content other than games, like for videos? They
had their list show. I forget what it was called. They also had they had that Talarico guy or whatever his name. Like they had some good personalities. I don't know if that personality that I mentioned is still good or not. I know he's like very middling with people. But they had the right steps, and then they bought Tech TV, and you're like, oh, this is going to be great. And then it was for a little bit, and then they went in on syndicating Cops. They made that Fast Lane show. I don't know, Code Monkeys. I don't know if like people hear Code Monkeys and they're like, oh, that's great, or if they're like, oh, Code Monkeys, no.
It was like a mixed review, if I remember correctly.
It was the few episodes I saw were okay. It just felt very edgy, just to be edgy.
Right.
Whereas
it was trying to be South Park when it wasn't South Park.
When South Park does it, though, there's like an ounce of truth. When a show like Code Monkeys tries to do what they do, they're being edgy, but no one in that room, if they're out in public, would be like that. Whereas if you're watching South Park, Matt and Trey are kind of like that in real life. You're like, these guys are fucking assholes a little bit.
Very much.
And dang it, I said we were going to be clean, and I just swore. Dang it.
That's 3 now, Nick. That's 3.
I know. And there was also the 8th annual E3. I bring that up because E3 just announced they're not doing E3 in person this year for the 3rd year in a row. RIP.
Which now everybody's speculating, is E3 ever going to be a public show anymore?
I think it'll all be online.
I think right before the pandemic, they just recently were like, hey, we're going to make it now open to the public, not just developers and high-ups and stuff like that.
And people were eating that up.
I wanted to go.
But I think because publishers pay so much money for the space, for the keynotes, like they can just do all that in-house. They don't need to pay anyone to go do that.
And that's what you're starting to see is like Sony has their own thing now. Nintendo has their own thing now.
EA's been doing their own thing for years. So I could just see E3 slowly fading unless they like spun it and were like E3 Indies or something like that.
Which if they did that, I think I think it'd pick up better.
I think it would too. I think your biggest rivalry there is Steam, because Steam kind of does something like that all online. But if you could really make it worth the developers' money, really make it worth the people who are coming in, I think it'd be a fun event. Hell, if they did an E3 Indies Expo, I'd show up. I would go to that for sure.
It'd be cheaper to do too, I think.
I think so. I think so too. You would need less space because no indie's gonna show up and need like a big old like ship like Nintendo built for stuff. Like Nintendo would do like mazes and shit.
Not only that, but then you have to look at it like Nintendo probably is like, okay, for us to show up, you're gonna have to pay or make it really cheap for us compared to like everybody else, because otherwise we're not gonna come.
Right. Well, and those indies are going to see like the Nintendos and the Sonys and be like, well, if they're not going, why should we? So you at least need one big get. You need one big get to like convince indies to show up. Which we could be the big get. Who knows?
I highly doubt that.
And that is the news. Josh, I do have a quiz for you.
Oh God, yes.
So last time we did this, it was Generation 2 Pokemon, and Josh got 0. This time, I think Josh will get 0 again. Let me get these Pokemon up on the board for everybody.
I think you're right.
Josh, can you see that Pokemon?
I can, and I can think of his name, but I can't think of his name at the same time.
So before we start, Josh, just remember what is on the line here. If you get more than 5 right, you get to pick what game I'm speed capping. If you get under 5 right, I'm picking the game.
Yeah, I'm gonna lose this. Let's go.
Okay. All right, first Pokemon.
Oh God, I can see him. He's like one of the starters. I know that. I just can't think of his name.
And then a quick thing real quick for everybody. If you are listening, we do have a link to this quiz in the show notes so you guys can play along and see what Pokemon Josh should know. He should obviously know this, but he
I
doesn't.
don't. I don't know. Treecko. I know it's not Treecko, but
Close. He's called Trico, but I'm not counting it.
oh come on.
Treequill. Like
It was
he's
tree something.
NyQuil. All right,
Well,
next
Treecko, but
next Pokemon.
Torchic.
What do you call it?
Torchic.
Yep, correct.
I knew I'd get one at least.
You're already doing better than the last one. All right, next up.
Mudkip.
There you go. Look at you
I
go,
got
Josh.
2.
All right, here's the next one.
Zigzagoon.
Oh, he got it. There's 3.
Okay.
All right, next Pokemon.
Oh, I have no idea. Face Man. I don't know.
Nope, that is Nose Pass.
Of course.
What a
Yeah.
dumb name.
That's a stupid name.
Next up, I'll give you a hint. It is not Pikachu.
I know it's not Pikachu. It's supposed to be like an somewhat evolution of Pikachu because there's also a minus one.
Trust the minus touch.
Positive. I don't know.
Do you call him Poke Positive?
I just said positive.
Poke Pot? No, that is Plusle, sir.
Plusle? Oh, Lord.
Up next.
He's one of the legendaries. What is his name, though? Yeah, he's one of the legendaries, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Uh,
I'll say it. I think this is like the weirdest set of legendaries, by the way.
yeah, because he's technically like the trio of legendary. He's not like the actual like cover legendary.
Right.
He's ice, so Frozone.
No, that is a Pixar character. That is Latios.
I don't remember all these names. I know it's a Frozone's Pixar, but I was just like, oh.
All right, up
Called
next.
Frozen, but it was Frozen. Son of a gun. I do not know that guy. I mean, I remember him, but I don't remember what his name is.
That one is scary. I remember it just being very scary when I first saw it. What you got?
DNA don't.
DNA don't? No, that's called Deoxys. Do you even Pokemon? Up next.
Clearly. Rosine?
No, that's Rosalia.
Rosalina.
Nope.
Ah, God. Darn it.
And then last but not least, who's that cutie?
Cactar.
I'm sorry. The correct answer was Cacnea.
Oh, come on.
Hey, you got 3.
I'm doing better.
Hey, you got 3. You're learning your Pokemon. I'm proud of you, Josh. Did that one seem easier, or did you actually get to do research?
No, I did not do research. That one seemed a lot easier.
Good. So I hope you're ready for Gen 4 whenever that is.
Oh, God.
All right, so I get to pick the game that I'm going to speed cap. Ooh, what do I want to speed cap? This list is just terrible. Not going to do Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, come on.
No Kingdom
You could do
Hearts. No. You know what? I'm going to do Wind Waker. So I will speed cap Wind Waker next week. Josh will make the quiz. I'll have 20 minutes or less to basically pass the quiz. I'm sorry, to do my speed cap and hit all the points that Josh wants me to hit. I think I can do it for Wind Waker. I kind of know that game back head to tail. All right, so the next episode comes out next Monday. What is next Monday? The 7th. So the next speed cap will be out January 17th. We'll be doing it over Wind Waker. I'm going to get a big ass number and Josh is just going to get destroyed. I am Nick Fat Knight on Twitch, also on Twitter. But you can also find me on Twitter at that Kaufman. That's my more active account. Josh, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and on Twitch as I'm Josh Singh.
Oh, God.
I'm sticking with it. Honestly, it's growing on me. I'm not gonna lie.
We are also on Discord. We have an active Discord for Nick Fat Knight. We need to get a Smashing Game Time one. We'll eventually get there, unless somebody's squatting on one right now. Once again, thanks to Alex Marvin Clark for the intro and outro theme. Hunt him down. Check him out at the link in our show notes. He's got a great SoundCloud up there. Josh, anything else before we leave?
No, I think we're good. I mean, honestly, guys, I mean, please, I want reviews. I don't care if they're bad. I just want to read them because I feel like we keep bringing it up and nothing's happening. I want to be roasted. Roast me.
Again, as Josh is saying, leave a review anywhere you guys listen. We will read them on the air. We want to make fun. We want to make Josh cry. So just leave a review that Josh will cry for.
I'll cry live.
Josh, go ahead and guess how long this episode was.
Hour and 24 minutes.
You are cheating. It was an hour 20. All right, everyone.
Oh, I'm good.
This is Smashing Game Time. Find us wherever you like your podcast. Like, follow, subscribe, do all that stuff. We'll see you next time for the speed cap of Wind Waker. Say bye, Josh.
Bye, everybody.